Morning, everybody. 8:20 a.m. Had a little late start today. Welcome to my channel. Now, yesterday we had some weakness in the markets. Now, my game plan from the morning worked out in the Nasdaq. All right, it just wasn't an easy read really yesterday. Like I said, all-time highs are never really secure in overnight, and the Nasdaq made new highs and then sold off. Right, but the ES still has overnight highs as its highs, and it's been relatively weaker of late. Of late. Okay. So yesterday I had a couple of levels I was working off of. And what really stunk about yesterday was I was on my live stream. I kept talking about 64.13, 64.13, 64.13. And I was looking to get short on a retest. What stunk about it is when I got my retest, Trump was talking. And the candles were starting to gyrate about what he was saying. And at first it was good with China, then it was bad with tariffs on Russia. So I really, it stunk because I really didn't get a chance. I mean, on the chart, it looks like it worked perfectly, but I'm not going to be stupid and enter while Trump's talking because the market could do whatever it wants to do. Unfortunately for myself, I didn't get that opportunity, which stinks because I waited for that. Finally got the retest, and I'm like, and then all of a sudden, because I listened to it a live kind of squawk box, Besant's talking, Trump's talking right when that setup happened, and it's just like, really, really. But that's trading, right? Setup hit on paper, on technical analysis, it looks like whoa, that retest happened, and then we fell. But I can't. There's nothing I can do about that, right? So today, what do we have? FOMC 2 p.m. followed by the press conference 2:30. We have Meta. What do we have here? Just want to make sure here. I think we have Meta and Microsoft earnings today. Okay, we have GDP, I believe, at 8:30. So I don't like FOMC days. So generally, sometimes the trading's kind of muted in the mornings, but sometimes there's an opportunity early on. Sometimes. Today we have new home sales at 10, which that's doesn't usually move the markets much, but it still stinks. And the market should die around 11 and waiting for FOMC. And I don't like FOMC. I don't have an edge there. It's wild. If you want to play with it, it's like a wild stallion. That's not my style. So I generally take the rest of the day off. And then you have Microsoft, and then you have Meta's earnings when the market closes. So it's going to be wild from 2 p.m. on. Okay? Now, without further ado, welcome to my channel. My name is Steven Gonzalez. Use market profile and volume profile to find structure in the markets along with supply and demand, gamma exposure levels, the most traded price of the year, the month, the week, and the previous day. Also, use Anchor View Ops and my market internals. And also my expected move indicator that I put for free on my Discord. Okay. Now I update that every weekend, so you have to load that every week, the beginning of every week. Two stocks that I track. Eli Lilly has hit its expected move to the downside. AMD hit its expected move to the upside yesterday and literally closed on it. So if I'm AMD, just for everybody out there, it's a very, very low probability that AMD goes higher. Can it go a little higher? Yes, but the probability 70% of the time, remember, these stocks will close within their expected range 70% of the time. So there's a highly likely chance that AMD just hit its peak for this week, which makes me want to think I might do short calls on it for the week. Um, Just for everybody to know, that's selling a call that's bearish. So I might do that. I'm not sure exactly what I want to do. Um, we'll see. We'll see. But that's one. Eli Lilly, I don't trust it, even though it went to the downside. That's because there's a lot of negative things about pharma, putting tariffs and reducing Americans paying for medicine. So that's negative for Eli Lilly. All right, and Novo Nordisk. So even though hit his expected move to the downside. All right. Now, hopefully you join me every day. Okay, give you the market story, the news, the technical analysis, the 411 on your markets. Now, 411, I'm an old guy, I guess, because I used to dial 411 for information. Um, However, hopefully you sign up, right? Now, as far as my Discord, hopefully you sign up, right? That is Confluence Trading. Go to my YouTube homepage, click on the link and sign up. I've been going live, right? Have a little crop of traders that are live with me. So hopefully you join me. Use me as an indicator, right? Yesterday, I didn't steer anybody wrong. I just said, hey, this market internals are weak, not strong at all. I expect a bounce, but not a bounce where we're going to go all the way back to the highs. We did get a bounce and then sold off. So internals again kept you on the right side of the tracks. Okay? And the more share prices, right? Because we could not find acceptance above them yesterday, and then we fell. That's another reason why I wanted to go short. It's just that, like I said, Trump was talking when I got my setup, which really stunk. Um, all right. Why don't we go right into futures? Now today is FOMC. Things are going to be muted. Okay, things are going to be muted. Let's look at them. All right. Who's leader here? Ethereum up 0.46. Russell's up 0.42. Bitcoin up 0.35. Dollars up 0.25. 10-year yields up 0.14. Nasdaq's, see this what I mean? Nasdaq's up 0.13. ES up 0.07. This is all muted. Gold up 0.06. Dow is pretty much flat. Crude's flat. 30-year bonds are pretty much down 0.11. It's flat. VIX back up over 14 to 15. They were out of 14 yesterday. This is all because of FOMC. A little hedging going on. Silver down 0.86. That's nothing for silver. Okay. So very muted, which I expect. Okay. Now, let's look at our Mag 7 Plus. Eli Lilly. Remember what I said? If you just go with expected move, you could have went long yesterday, right? Because look what's happening. It's up 1% already. Now it's a big percent in Eli Lilly is decent, right? Look at it. Close at 762. It's at 770 right now. Coinbase up 0.96. Meta's up 0.80 prior to earnings. Meta hit a large negative gamma level yesterday of 700 and it's getting bought already. Up $6. Okay. Nvidia up 0.56, Boeing up 0.50. Now, is there laggards? Yes. Google down 0.20, Broadcom down 0.24, Apple down 0.37. There was some news about Apple. AMD, what did I say? It hit its expected move yesterday. And that expected move was 177. Let's just call it 177 and a half. I think it's a different number than that, but it's right there. Okay. We'll go where that's at. Interesting, right? Hit its expected move for the week already. It's been a monster. All right. So let's move on. Top sectors. Is there anything to note? Let's look at them. United Healthcare right now is a leader. That got hammered a little bit yesterday. All right. So that is up 0.95. Your laggard is Visa. Reported earnings after the close yesterday. They're down. All right. Let's go to the granular list. Granular list. Harley Davidson must have had good earnings. They're up 15%. Marvel Semi up 8.65. Humana Health, that's health care, up 8.33. Hess is just a monster. Jesus. I'm loving Vertiv. I'm loving Vertiv. I believe they reported earnings up 6.31. I'm loving that. I'm a holder of that. Okay. Starbucks up 5.72. They reported earnings. Mara, they reported earnings. Okay, let's look at laggards real quick. SoFi, whoa, down 7%. Palo Alto down 6.4. There's got to be a reason for that. Palo Alto Cybersecurity down 6.4 and SoFi down 7. ADP, okay, that's it. That's it. We're going to go now moving on to sectors. Semis leading the pack. Semis, they were leading yesterday, but then they sold off. But leading the pack today, up 0.48, followed by healthcare. That's your Humana, United Health, Eli Lilly. All right, and your laggard is financial. That's not much of a laggard. Not much of a laggard at all. Okay, GDP numbers came out. I mean, that usually doesn't do much to the markets. Okay, now let's move over to economic calendar. Okay. So GDP, like I said, doesn't really do anything. Pending home sales sometimes maybe moves something. We got crude inventories today, but the big one is the Fed rate, and you're expecting nothing. Expecting a pause, not expecting anything, followed by the press conference. Okay, that's about that. Now, if we want to talk about the earnings calendar, let's look at it. Remember, Visa, all these reported. Now, this morning, yes, Vertiv, that's my hold. I've been holding that. I think I got a price of 66 on that. It's up to 150 right now. So Vertiv looking pretty good. Altria reported. Teva, Kraft Heinz, Humana, Etsy, Hershey, Harley Davidson. After the close today, Meta, Microsoft, Robinhood. All right. And then we got Carvana, Lam Research. That's a semi. Qualcomm semi. Ford. Obviously, everybody knows Ford, and ARM a semi. Okay, that's your earnings for today. Tomorrow before they open, CVS, Roblox, AbbVie, Norwegian Cruise Lines, Cigna, that's health insurance, MasterCard, Bristol Myers Squibb, that's your pharma. All right, that's what we got going on. All right, moving on to some news on some stocks here. Okay, let's do it. Microsoft stock rose 0.3 ahead of the release of software giant's quarterly results. Meta Platforms stock rose 1.1, with the Facebook parent also set to release results after CEO Mark Zuckerberg has targeted massive spending on AI as a pillar of its future strategy. Meta's been stealing from everyone. Hires. Visa stock fell 1.5 after the Payments Group left its full-year outlook unchanged despite posting better than anticipated third quarter results. Starbucks stock rose 4.6 after the coffee chain reported net revenue for the third quarter that beat expectations. Hershey stock rose 0.2 after the confectionery giant reported second quarter has exceeded expectations. Humana stock climbed 8.1 after the health insurer lifted its annual revenue estimate after its second quarter results topped expectations. Etsy stock rose 5.8 after the online marketplace reported better than expected second quarter revenue. Peloton stock soared 7.3 after UBS upgraded the Cycle Fitness Group. SoFi, there we go. Stock fell 8.3 after the Personal Finance Group said it's selling. Oh boy, 1.5. This was just up from earnings. And now, after the Personal Finance Group said it's selling 1.5 billion of stock, with the proceeds set to support corporate purposes, enhancing financial flexibility. Wow, that's crazy. That is crazy. All right, moving on to news. Fed to hold rates steady despite Trump's push for big cuts. Yep. U.S. economic growth likely rebounded in quarter two. Exclusive, Tesla signs 4.3 billion battery deal with LGES. Okay, is Tesla doing anything with that? Not really. Okay. Google to sign EU's AI code of practice despite concerns. See, oil jumped after Trump talked about putting tariffs on oil with Russia. Talked about they weren't happy with China buying oil. So that's why I sent the markets didn't like that, and crude went up yesterday from that. Let's see here. Anything else? That I want to talk about? All right, here we go. Some analyst recommendations. PayPal. Citizens cut target price to 100 from 110. Starbucks, Piper Center raises target price to 105 from 102. United Health Group, Jeffries cuts target price to 317 from 399. Visa raises target price 430 from 375. All right. Let's just look at our upgrades and downgrades. Let's see who got upgrades today. PNC, Peloton, Spotify, Seagate, all right, and downgrades. A Weirdly, AMD got downgraded. Interesting. Buy to sell. American Tower, buy to hold. Novartis, overweight to neutral. All right. I think we can move. You know what? Let's just check real quick. Let's check the breath out. Let's check the breath out. All right. We are at 60% of stocks over the 20-day moving average. We're close to parity again. Close to 50-50. Okay. We already know the Fed rate. And that's all I'm going to look at there. All right. That's all I'm going to look at there. Now, I think we're going to move just to the market internals, just to give you guys. Now, I had to change the window because I changed our workspace. So give me a sec here while I pull that up and make sure you can see the market internals. Yeah, I believe. Okay. I have to resize some of this. This should suffice, though. Okay, this should suffice. Okay. Now, market internals. Started out kind of in parity, and you noticed equal weight was strong and the market cap was weak, right? And when this happens, one of these usually takes down the other. Now you can see the white line never got that weak, but it did cross the zero line. No, and then you need this line to start to go down with market cap in order to get the move. And there you go, right here. Zoom. Started decline with the market. That's the big move down, right? And then it just stayed kind of weak. And I had a little reprieve here, right? That was kind of my retest right in here. Right in this area here. That's the gamma flip point. And then we broke. And we actually found support right here at the weekly gamma flip point in the SPX. Okay? I expected that, boom, to happen. Okay? And you just can see, look at the top four sectors. Red, red, blood red. That means over 0.5% from the open down. Industrials also. You didn't have a lot of bright spots. Energy doesn't move the market. Staples does not move the market. Healthcare, healthcare 0.38, right? How that used to be the second largest. It's now the fifth. It's dropped in the weightings. Okay? That is your market internal recap. All right. Now we can get right into dailies, right into the daily charts, okay? Alrighty. So, this is our daily charts. You can see our expected move to the downside is 624. Okay? There's my range right up here. Remember, if you go to my Discord, you join it, my indicator is there. I put it on there. You can use it. All right. Now, it shows you the range here, 624.70 to 649 and a half. Okay. Now look at yesterday. What did we do? Well, we took out the prior 2 days lows. See? And we held this low. So, price action wise, it looked bloody. But in this grand scheme of things, we're just kind of moved. We did move down, but we're kind of in this range now. So it's a new kind of like balance range. Okay. Where are we at now? 535. We're basically at 536. Let's get in there. I mean, sorry, not 536. We are at 636 about right here. Now look at that. Of course we are. Of course we're at right down here in the kind of the lower third of yesterday. The lower third. Remember, we have FOMC. Okay. Let's look at futures. Futures always gives you a nice. Remember, these are almost 24 hours, so these give us that move up. And look, we're just consolidating. Look, we didn't take this low out in futures. We didn't take this low out. Oh, we did. I'm sorry. This is yesterday. So we took out these 2 days, held this. We're in the balance. Okay, we're in a little range now, waiting for FOMC. That's not confusing at all. That's what happens, right? So here's your Qs. Qs opened up very strong, really strong. AMD was powering, Nvidia. Okay, they were just crushing it. All right, opened here, went up here, and then just fell apart. And see the Qs. What did it do? See that black line? That's Friday's close. We came down to Friday's close and got bought at the end of the day. Okay, here's last week's highs. We closed within last week's range. This is still not bearish. This is just a day where you got a correction a little bit, right? So Q's definitely stronger recently, right? Definitely stronger. We're not close to any expected moves to the upside. What do we have? We got 579, right? Probably these ranges are a little bigger, probably for FOMC. Let's look at futures, Nasdaq futures. Okay. See, we're just kind of like in this balance range here for the last 3 sessions. Last week, we're above last week's highs in futures. Okay. Now, this is going to be very muted. This triple-headed monster. That's your bond market, which really has been just not doing much. Okay, it's just in a range. It's really just nothing to look at. All right, dollar. Now remember I said the dollar. There it is. It's starting to move. I was saying this is bottoming out. Now look, you kind of got a double bottom here. Really like to see if we can push through this 99.37. Really want to see that. Right? Because you're going to put all these sellers on notice. Okay? Just want to look at moving averages. Look at that 20 is curling up. The 9 is curling up. Right? The 9 is starting to cross the 50-day moving average. Let's see. Let's see what happens. Okay? VIX. Remember I said the VIX popped up a little bit yesterday. Okay? Right there. Right? You got a little pop up. We were down in the 14s, pushed up. Now people are going to wait for the FOMC. Maybe Powell says something weird or crazy. Who knows? Okay? You really don't know. All right? Like I said, we can do real quick the hourly charts here. All right, let's do that. I'll just mark it up a little bit. Not going to take too long on this. It's very muted action right now. Okay, this is your hourly. Let's just get this up here. Boop. Your relative volumes are pretty not that great. All right, not that great at all. You can see them a little closer right there. Not that great. 78%, 74%. We got summer and FOMC. That will definitely change for FOMC, but yeah, not great. Okay, so let's look at our hourly charts together. All right, I'm just going to mark these up really quickly because there's just to give you what we've been doing. Right, this is your ES. Okay, you had a couple distributions. Now this is where the most traded price of the week was bouncing around. You can see this little spike here. This is like 64.13. Okay, so if I draw a line from there, right, boop, 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 right there, then you have another high volume node here that now is the most traded price of the week, which is like 64.06. So you have two high volume nodes here that we were bouncing around. Okay, and this was really when it failed here, right? This wick, that was the bull trap, and I was watching that, and then that's when Trump started talking. When I started to see, okay, let me see a retest, and then look what we did. Went all the way down. So that was what I was looking for yesterday. Look what we did here. We finally hit an anchored VWAP here. Boom, right there. Right? Other than that, I mean, we are in a little bit of a downtrend here. This is last week's highs. We have a lot of overhead supply in the ES. Okay? So all we got to care about here is that 6406 all across this support. Can we take it out? Because that's a lot of support. Okay. Now, is the FOMC with a pause going to say anything? I don't know. So really 6406, right? And like this 63, probably 93 about. We'll talk about it later. That's the key supports. Okay. Moving on. We're going to talk about the NQ. NQ, remember, relatively stronger. Okay, relatively stronger. And look what the level was. Now I know, if I don't know if documents is in here, but like I kept on talking about the 23490s yesterday, and that was the level right here. That's now the most traded price of the week. Okay, you can see it was the most traded price of yesterday too with this other box I have. Right? So that is your line here. And look what we're doing. No surprise. We're just consolidating around those prices because we're waiting for more information. The market is waiting for FOMC. So we're going to play games around this level. Okay? We're going to play games. See this low hit that anchored VWAP. Okay? So, but this is last week's highs. So Nasdaq's holding last week's range. The ES is not. Okay, so let's see what we do here. Obviously, you got support all up in here, right? And this big level. Acceptance below this level is bearish. Acceptance above it is bullish. That's all you have to look at it. That's how you look at it. That's it. And remember, price action, 5-minute, 15-minute, 30-minute can all make you think something else. But structure is king, okay? Structure is king. Now, we're going to move on to the market. Profile and volume profile analysis. Let's do it. Alrighty. Let's get into the ES. ES. Alrighty. And this is our market profile and volume profile analysis. Alright. Let's get our white color out and we'll look at some levels. Okay, so no surprise here. No surprise. Okay. Most traded price of the week. That's your 6406. It's right here. Guess what that lines up with? Whoop. Most traded price of yesterday. Most traded price of the week. And we got our overnight low, which is a poor low. That will need to be corrected. Okay. Remember, this poor low got corrected. That was that level. Remember I talked to you guys about the 6423s? Single prints right here and made the move. That was the level I talked about. Okay. Now this is a very squat profile in your overnights. All right. Inventory 100%, pretty close to 100% net long. Remember when I told you guys 100% net long? 6423s. That was all she wrote when it hit there. Right? Took all those longs out. All right. What else do we have? Overnight lows. What does that line up with? Pretty nice level as well. Value area high from yesterday. Overnight highs. The 50% retracement of yesterday. It's all about the overnight session. That's what it's looking like to me. Okay, that's what it's looking like to me. And of course, we have support here. That's the 6396s down to here, the 6391s. Remember, the market needs to stay above 6406 to have a bullish bias. To have a bullish bias. Okay. Now, there's the big supply zone from yesterday's sell-off. Up in here. You got last week's highs here. So you know ES is inside last week's range. Okay. I think we can start the scenarios now. once I split out this session here, let's split it out, actually see the price movements of the overnight, which is pretty ugly. Okay, let's get into scenarios here. So, recently I'm not giving you every scenario in the book, I'm giving you what I want to see. Okay, because that's really what's important for myself, is there's always scenario, but what is the most probable, what's the most thing I want to see? Okay, we got the levels to work with. Pretty much the overnight lows and the overnight highs. Line up with a lot of levels. Okay? And remember, before an FOMC, what I'm going to count on is some type of de-risk if we're at an extreme level. Okay? Because nobody wants to be holding the bag at 2 p.m. Because we don't know what the market's going to do. It's wild. It always is wild. So, whenever there's an extreme move, and prior to FOMC, usually people, let's say if we go down, people usually get an aggressive move back to the mean because no one wants to hold the bag into that announcement. I've seen it multiple times, so that's going to be what part of my scenario. All right, so if this market, okay, can move past and underneath 6406, the most traded price of the week, okay, that will hit the overnight lows. You could cause a little bear trap here. Maybe go boop. Now, if this gets a quick recovery, you can get a move to here. If it can hold, retest, maybe you go to the overnight highs. Okay. Now, another trap could be we just go like this all the way down to here, and you're like, what the heck? And all you need is one like V retest, and you can go right up to here. That's what I'm really looking for today. Okay. Now, as far as the bear, okay, what would I look for? Well, if the market tends to break these overnight highs, right, goes into the value area high of yesterday, right, and we just boop touch this supply, and if we get a rejection, I'm going to look for some lower highs and see if we can go test 6406. That would be a decent trade. Now, if you break that whole boom, you might get that move to here to probably be de-risk. That's what I would like to be looking for. Now, if it's early and the market does tend to go through that level and it's weak, let's say the market's like a little weaker and we retest that, that could be a quick move to here too, and then I think we bounce because of FOMC. I definitely think there's an FOMC de-risk that's going to come into play. Okay? All right. That's your ES. Let's move on to the NASDAQ. Okay. Here's your NASDAQ. Now, the NASDAQ nestled inside yesterday's range. Where are we at? We're at the most traded price of the week. Okay. So, let's analyze it together. All right. Same thing. Value area high from yesterday. Right? Overnight highs. The 50% retracement of yesterday. All in that box. A lot of confluence. Okay. Now, down here. That's poor structure too at the overnight lows. Okay. Pretty balanced session. You're about 95% net long in the overnight. Okay. Don't like sitting here. Ugh. Okay. I don't like being right on the most traded price. It's just you're asking for a chop. But however, if we break this demand down to yesterday's lows down here, okay, what I know is going to happen, you're going to get an inside out move. You're going to get it because we're at the most traded price. We're either going to test here or we're going to test here. I can guarantee that. Whenever you're sitting at the most traded price, that's an inside out move. Now, it's a very low probable pick of where we're going to go, low or high. But this is the areas I want to be active in. Okay? Now, you have a huge demand zone here with support at the 233, 26s. Okay? Single prints up here. Big supply up here. Big supply zone. Okay? So, but I'm just going to concentrate on these levels, and we're going to get right into scenarios here. All right, what could I expect? Remember the inside out. Okay, let me get rid of that. Hold on. All right. Okay, so we're right here. All right, bull side. What do I want? I want to move down. Boom. Into this demand. This is the close. Overnight low. Touch it. Boom. Go back to the mean and maybe test the overnight highs. Okay. Second, we could push down a little farther, tap into this demand in yesterday's lows, and people start to go de-risk and go back to the mean. That's your longs. Okay. Short side. Okay. You move up into supply right here. Fail. Lower highs. Back to the mean. 234, around 23490s. Okay. Now, break back. Break that overnight lows. And test here. Okay. Now we could also do one of these. Push down, retest this, go here. And I think we de-risk back. Okay. That's scenarios today, folks. Hope you enjoyed that. And smash the like button for me. Alright, as always, please join me. Subscribe. Set an alert. Alright, let me give you the story of the markets. The market news, the economic calendar, just why the market's doing what it's doing. And I just gave you the long and short trade scenarios of the ES and NASDAQ futures. Okay, now, if you want more in depth, if you want me to be your indicator, okay, join my Discord, Confluence Trading. Sign up, get my expected move free indicator for Thinkorswim. It's super powerful. Okay, super powerful. Now we know AMD and Eli Lilly right now has tested their expected moves. AMD to the upside, Eli Lilly to the downside. Let's see what they do. They should not go. Eli Lilly should not go lower, and AMD should not go higher. That's probability. Doesn't mean it has to happen, but it most likely has seen the move. Okay. Everybody have a great day. All right. Remember, no trade's a trade. Stay green. If you want to join me, I'll see you on my Discord. If not, I'll see you guys tomorrow.